PragICTS, expediting business outcomes.
Hello. Coming after a short gap as part of the Perspective series, but prompted for us to do this compilation, relates to the much publicized eventuality that took place that got reported in the media pertaining to the cloud failure that was experienced with AWS. It is quite certain that these kind of incidents are not going to happen, but rather it will take place. There is nothing called a 100% foolproof system. A little while back only we heard of the CrowdStrike failure. This is not the main reason we getting this compilation done, but it's more of a concern when we look at the media, especially the digital platforms where some advertisement posts were done by certain companies, especially from a Sri Lankan perspective, where the post read as, we have cloud infrastructure onshore that is local and it is near to you, rather than indirectly implying that going with a tier 1 cloud service provider is further away. If you take Azure and AWS, they do have data centers in India, a number of centers, and then also in Singapore. I'm not sure about GCP, Google and Oracle, but I'm sure either they have or they are in the process of having centers close by. Sri Lanka, from what I know, there are no local data centers from tier 1 providers, but it's in close vicinity. What was appalling and shocking from my perspective is that this failure has nothing to do with whether the cloud facility is onshore or offshore. This is more of a case of whether there is a failover with the clients who got affected. And that's where the highlight is. Cloud goes down. People who have had a failover, I don't think that this gets reported, because the reason is that, business continues to operate. But for the ones who did not think through or didn't have sufficient failover mechanism made available for seamless takeover, that is where the impact was. I can recall CrowdStrike, there was clear statements on the media saying that American Airlines, their losses were in billions. So therefore, this highlights the criticality of having an effective failover strategy. Some things that I have observed in recent times is that, especially when you look at these big impact technologies like cloud and then for that matter AI, I think that I have seen a trend where people have gone on board without the lack of proper due diligence and common sense. Surely any company which wants to market a technology will surely, will make a huge, loud noise on that. And to market this, to capture the attention, to get the market going. And sometimes in most cases, it's a combination of, there's a lot of hot air in it, and a lot of big statements. And people, as part of any IT company, IT services company, people who are, have an engineering background and leadership in engineering, need to verify these things first, because once someone makes a statement, you need to verify that does this statement hold together. I can recall, as early part of 2023, middle part of 2023, when AI came up with open AI and all of that, we also did an internal effort to made an assessment to see on two fronts, whether all that is mentioned, whether it's actually implemented, and especially pertaining to integration. We were looking at getting AI to have more text-to-text, text-to-voice, voice-to-versa and voice-to-voice. We were using a number of technologies, Google Alexa the front-end framework because it allows us to integrate with back-end. And then there was also connectivity option, integration option and all that. And then what we realized is that when we really, did some work, we had a serious issue with the set features being absent or not fully there. And also in terms of accuracy, in small things, we really knew that, the accuracy was not there because, one can query an AI in many different ways. So it's the same, you can query the AI in terms of your linguistic skills in many different ways. It has the same substance and meaning. But, what we clearly saw was that there were errors. There were misinterpretations. And at that point in time, we made a collective decision to give it a break and wait till it, matures. Today you have MCP and so many models, and it has come a long way. AI is going to be, definitely there is no doubt, it's going to be transformational and transcending. It's going to be ubiquitous and it's going to expand to every pair of interaction, whether from a business perspective, whether it is going to industrial perspective, any field, medical, you take it. But the question here is, the concern that I have is that, before customers, when they interact with a service provider or IT services provider, and they expect that service provider, has done the due diligence and figured out what is hot air and what is substance, and then provide a solution that is solid, that is accurate, that is consistent. You take the responsibility for that. Now, there was another situation where, there is Deloitte's case. And then again, it's very much published. And what was very funny is that I think this statement, I do not know whether it came from Deloitte or not, is saying that, we use the commercial version of Microsoft Azure, the OpenAI, the Pro version. I may have not got the, words lined up correctly, but that's what was meant. But it has nothing to do with that. Where is your basic due diligence? So similarly, I'm not here to talk about AI. Maybe that is open for another discussion. But what I want to do is this reliance on cloud, blind reliance on cloud, where you throw your common sense out, whether you throw your, common sense and rational thinking out, is not the way to go forward. Because IT is always a support function or an enabling function. The IT leadership needs to report to the company pertaining to ensuring that, business continuity. These are not new concepts. Business continuity, risk management and all this. These are age-old practices. For some reason with this cloud, what I see is that people have blindly taken this up on a holistic manner, and they are harping about it. We are on cloud, but there is so much of due diligence that needs to be done. Now, I know that there are some companies there, zero trust, identity, all these credentials, all that is centrally, they have gone and put it on cloud. What happens if there's a cloud failure? And this question of whether you are putting it on multiple zones across doesn't take into effect. Where is your failover and effective recovery strategy? More of a failover, because recovery is, whether you can recover or not. Failover is whether the systems are still available to continue. So, and IT giving a reason saying that, okay, this has happened, there is nothing we can do. So obviously, business leadership will say, where is your risk assessment? Haven't you planned for all this? So then what kind of answers can we give? And the funny thing is that most of these cloud providers, I think they provide 99.99% availability. So that is less than an hour for a year. So look at if you take the two recent failures, that is published failures. A lot of these things don't get published because it's not a good thing to publish about. From a client perspective, if you say that, your system's gone down because of a cloud failure, that's not a good thing to harp about. That's more of talking about your weakness. And you're opening yourself to be leathered left, right and center. So cloud is good. I'm not criticizing the fact that cloud is bad. But, you need to have an effective strategy. You cannot, put all your eggs in one basket. You need to haul it if the cloud fails for some reason. It could be due to internet. It could be due to so many other possibilities. Now, this time the AWS, it is simply due to a DNS issue as I read and understood. And the other thing is these local companies coming and saying that they have better onshore capacity. I mean, that has no relation to what went wrong. And are we saying that a local company has better infrastructure, better technical expertise, better setup than a tier 1 global company? I don't think so. So nearshore, offshore is a different solution. We think nearshore, offshore solution needs to be looked at it from a perspective of, can they give better guarantees? And really, is there a performance difference? Because when you look at performance, it's throughput. It's not just the servers. It's the connectivity, all of that together. So I keep on going back to this old thing, old statement, old practice, that is failover. It's very critical. If companies don't realize and take into action, then when a failover happens, there is a serious impact. Failover needs to be implemented and constantly tested to see whether that continues to work, whether the business continuity can take place. So I don't think that this is the last time that we are going to see of a cloud failure. The question is whether you have at least looked at it and put mechanisms in place so that IT is available to continue. This is currently, when these 2 failures have happened, I have not heard, the damages I have heard, losses I have heard, but I have not heard any litigation where companies, clients have gone and taken to task to recover their loss with those cloud providers. I have not seen that. So I do not know whether that has taken place or not. I'm sure if it is taken place, it should be, surely it should be in the media. And the best part is that when companies sign agreements, strategic agreements, there is a legal team that goes through all the agreements. But I do not know whether cloud agreements are, it's online. It's just a matter of putting a few ticks and then proceeding with it. So that's how procurement is done on cloud. Whether, someone proper legal has gone through this, looked at whether there is a standard agreement. I don't think that there is a choice to amend the agreements. So I think that it is, where there may be clauses. The reason that I don't see the litigation is that there may be clauses preventing from litigation. This is like, going to a 5-star hotel and when you go to the car parking, it says parking at your risk, own risk. So they provide a facility, risk you have to all take. So if it is a case, the same notion looks like applies here in a different way. So that means that it is your responsibility, especially IT's responsibility, to ensure that there is a failover mechanism put in place. Thank you.
PragICTS, expediting business outcomes.